blessings, greetings, and a bow to you. And welcome to my virtual yoga studio here on YouTube. My name is Tara Davey, also known as Laura Joplin or Wild Yogi Thing, depending on the moment. I am an Atlanta and North Georgia based yoga teacher. I've been teaching in person and in the online space for almost 6 years now, and it's always a joy to me to connect with you in this way, especially now. I'm recording this during a time where we're still in about month 6 of a global pandemic, where it makes being in person yoga classes more difficult and unsafe. I don't know when you might be watching this, but that's the context of this class. And so now more than ever, I'm really passionate about making sure that practice is accessible and that you can stay safe while staying deeply connected to your practice. So I'm grateful to be here with you, and I thank you for being here with me. So, if you've practiced with me before, you might know that a lot of the time I like to share the inspiration behind the practice before we do it together. And I do that not because the practice is about me or what I need, but because I want to give you an idea for the container that I'm sitting in, that I'm inviting you to sit in with me as I invite you into the space of practice. Because inevitably, if I'm teaching from my heart, what I live is going to make its way into what I teach. And so I think it's important to share that with you so you know where my heart is, and I can invite you into my heart as we go deep into the practice together. So, the inspiration behind the practice that I'm sharing with you now is the idea of compassionate space. Compassionate space. And this came up for me actually this morning. I had just woken up and was sitting up in bed. I set myself up to sit up as tall as one can when still sitting in bed to do a little breath practice to start my day, because I've really been trying to start the day with some kind of practice, even if I can't do a full formal meditation or a full yoga practice, just to do something spiritually connected and sacred to me before I start to do all the other stuff that my day asks of me. So I was sitting in bed doing a breath practice that is meant to inspire a feeling of space. And it's a practice that we're actually going to do together here in a moment. But I noticed as I was working to breathe my way towards space, I was encountering a lot of resistance. There was a lot of tightness where I wanted space instead. And it can be really overwhelming to feel that way, to feel like you want to um, sort of harness a certain feeling or inspire a certain feeling in practice and feel like you're meeting this wall of resistance and that it's so difficult. And it can be easy to get scared or frustrated or want to stop. And I felt all of those things. But as I was continuing the breath and trying to just notice what I was feeling, the idea of compassionate space came up. And what it was saying to me, it seemed like in that moment, was instead of feeling like, oh, I have to feel perfect right now, I have to start doing this practice and immediately feel spacious and good and blissful, and I want to feel it working right now. Instead of that, can I sit in compassionate space with myself as I am, with the tightness and tension and obstacles and resistance, all of it? Maybe for me this morning, space doesn't exactly mean, oh, I feel so open and so expansive right now. Maybe the space was the space of compassion for not feeling that open, not feeling that great. And as I continuously worked with that idea, because it took work, it wasn't like, oh, I thought of this thing and now suddenly I feel good. I feel all the resistance going away. It took the work of breathing and coming back to it, breathing and coming back to it over and over. But as I did that, I felt some of the tightness loosen, not because I was clinging to this idea that I had to feel perfect and spacious, but instead because I went inside to this idea that instead, the space comes from compassionate space, from being compassionate to what's actually here. So that's where I'm coming from as I share this practice with you, this practice of compassionate space. We're going to do that breath practice. We're going to do some movement practice, some mindfulness practice together, all to just explore what compassionate space might look and, more importantly, feel like for us together. So I invite you to come into a comfortable seat. A comfortable seat is any seat as long as your spine is long. So you might sit on something, a folded blanket or beach towel, to lift your hip bones a little higher than your knees and make a lot of compassionate space for your lower back. You might sit with your legs crossed, but you don't have to. You could sit with your legs outstretched or even come to sit on your heels or on a block between your heels. I just ask that your spine is long, no matter what else is going on. So once you get into that space, take an inhale and lengthen your spine on purpose. Now as you exhale, drop in. Pull your shoulders down away from your ears. Slide them backward toward each other so that your heart begins to lift. Sit a little more deeply into your tailbone, just easing in, letting the weight of your tailbone, your lower body, meet the earth and settle in a deeper way. You can rest your hands in any way that's comfortable on your lap or in any kind of shape or mudra that feels aligned for you today. You might simply turn your palms face down for a sense of grounding or turn them up to feel a sense of opening or receiving, whatever works. And please remember that that goes for this whole practice, whatever works. So whatever I'm suggesting to you, you can adapt it, you can change it, you can do what you need to do with it so that it meets your needs and the needs of your body today. So as you find your way into the seat that meets your body today, feel free to close your eyes. Or if that doesn't feel like it meets your needs, you can gaze softly at the floor instead. And if you haven't already, start to turn your attention toward your breath. Breathing steadily in and out through your nose if nostril breath is accessible for you today. Breathing at your own clear pace. You don't have to change the breath, do anything with the breath, or even think that hard about the breath right now. You simply want to start to witness it. Bring some attention to what's happening as the breath comes in and the breath goes out right now. As you bring your attention to what's happening with your breath, let that be an invitation to also bring your attention to what's happening with you, what's happening with yourself as you open yourself up into the space of practice. Maybe there's a little tension that you're working with, physical tension, anxiety, emotional tension. Maybe you feel super open and grounded and joyful, or anything in between or outside of those boundaries. The idea is the same with the breath. You don't have to change how you feel or judge how you feel. You just begin to witness it, bring attention to it. That's the first step in holding compassionate space for yourself, is just being the witness to who and how you are right now. Just spending a couple more breaths doing that as your way of arriving and settling in for your practice. Take a full breath in, a thorough breath out. And if your eyes are closed for just a moment, you can blink them open. If you're sitting with your legs crossed, take whatever leg is in front and switch that so that the leg that was behind is now the front leg, just to create some balance for our hips. And we're going to go right into the breath practice that's going to lead us into this work of compassionate space, starting with the breath, because the way that I've been taught it, all the deepest, most freeing and authentic work of yoga starts with the pathway of the breath. So the breath practice we're going to do together is called the Bhuvaneshwari breath. Bhuvaneshwari breath. And that breath is named after one of the Hindu goddesses. So yoga is a tradition that comes from South Asia, particularly India. So I offer my gratitude to yoga's deep and multifaceted roots. And since yoga was developed in ancient India alongside the tradition of Hinduism, yoga and Hinduism share a lot of symbolism and theology and philosophy. So a lot of the poses and practices are named for the Hindu gods and goddesses. And I've always been taught that the gods and goddesses are just symbols or representations of specific types of energy. And Bhuvaneshwari, the goddess for whom this breath is named, is a representation of space. She is the goddess of space. So, in doing this practice named for her, we're just calling on the energy of space. And maybe it's the energy of compassionate space in this practice. This breath comes with a mudra. Mudras are yoga poses that we do with our hands, again, just to call on that certain kind of energy. This mudra is called the Bhuvaneshwari mudra. Let me move a little closer so that you can see as I do it. Okay, so we're gonna round the palms. Spread the fingers, press the fingertips together. The palms stay rounded, so we make this globe shape in the hands. And it's meant to represent space, that big space between the hands. So this is the Bhuvaneshwari mudra that we're going to use in this practice. Okay, I'm going to slide back to my yoga mat. So we'll take the Bhuvaneshwari mudra. You can hold it in your lap, in front of your belly, in front of your heart. One thing I like to do is hold it in front of the space where I feel the most tension, just to kind of balance out the tightness with a little bit of space, but do what works for you. So we've got the mudra. Now we're going to go into the actual Bhuvaneshwari breath. And it's a 4-part breath. So you might listen and follow along for a moment before you jump in, just to get an idea for what the breath is like. But if you get messed up, you can always just come back to it, just like you can always come back to that idea of compassionate space. So 4 parts. First, we're going to inhale deeply through the nose. Now part your lips and exhale softly like you're blowing out a candle. Now inhale through those lips like you're drinking in through a straw. Now exhale through your nose. That's the breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the lips, blow out your candle. Inhale through the lips. Exhale through the nose. You'll continue that for the next few minutes. Breathing in through the nostrils. Out through the lips like you could blow the tension out. In through the lips like you could breathe the space in. Out through the nose. And we continue together. You keep going with the breath. I'm going to talk to you for a little bit. Anytime we exhale through the lips and try to blow out tension, it can be easy to want to blow out really hard with some force to really get it out. But I find that the softer it is, the more tension I can release. Just using your breath and your awareness of breath to call on spaciousness. Whatever inspires you to feel spacious, maybe you think of that or connect to that now as you continue the breath. Maybe for these last few rounds of the breath, as you inhale, you think to yourself, compassionate space. You exhale, compassionate space. You inhale, compassionate space. You exhale, compassionate space. Just tangibly creating that container for yourself. We'll take just a few more rounds of our Bhuvaneshwari breath, our space breath. Take one more round of your breath here. As you exhale through your nose, fully exhale. Gently draw your low belly in and see if you can squeeze all the air out of your low belly. Squeeze out the effects of tension and stress. Keep squeezing. And then take an inhale, sweep both arms to the sky, releasing the mudra. As you exhale, keep your hands wider than your shoulders. Pull the shoulders down away from the ears and squeeze the insides of the shoulders toward each other to lift your heart. Now soften your shoulders, strengthen your arms, reaching actively with a little fire in your fingertips. Maybe look up as you continue to reach up, but then sink down through that tailbone so you're still nice and supported even as you reach open. Take a few breaths here, maybe bringing your awareness to the palms of your hands and the space between the palms. Feeling this tangible practice of reaching for space. Reach for the space above you. Reach for the space around you. Maybe as you breathe, reach for and connect to the space inside of you. Maybe connect to the spaciousness of your teachers, your guides, your ancestors, whatever inspires and connects you in practice. Keep the heart lifted. Take one more full breath in. As you exhale, gather that space between your palms and press your hands together. Draw your hands down to your heart, thumbs pressed to your chest, just drawing that idea of spaciousness into your heart. Breathe there. Imagine inhaling right into the center of your chest. As you exhale, just imagine sending the spaciousness of your heart out in all directions. And then if your eyes are closed, you can start to blink them open. Lean back on your hands for a moment. Send your legs straight out in front of you and bounce your knees a few times. We were sitting for a good while, which is what happens when you start with a breath practice. But let's bring some movement and life into those legs that so patiently sat and waited on us to start moving. Okay, now separate your feet a little wider than your hips. Flex your feet so powerfully that your heels lift off the ground or start to lift. Spread your toes so you feel activation all throughout your feet. Check out your hands. Turn your fingertips at about a 45-degree angle on either side away from you. Make sure your fingertips are spread, or your fingers, I should say, are spread nice and wide, and really press into those index fingers so we just have a good support system in the hands to help us pull the shoulders back and keep the spine long. Now the feet are still flexed and powerful. We're going to inhale, turn the toes open. Exhale, turn the toes in. With the breath, inhale, turn it open. Exhale, rock it in. So we're moving the femur around in the hip socket to create spaciousness for the hips. Just bringing some life and some movement and some space to different areas of the body. Starting here, noticing what it's like to take all that breathing you've been doing and add the movement. Just add another layer of connection to your inner and outer space. Take one more rock out, rock it in. Inhale your feet back to center and walk your feet in so that they are as wide as your hips. And then on your next exhale, begin to roll your ankles in a circle. Keep breathing. Resist the urge to let this be kind of a mindless autopilot type of thing. It's really easy to do, but keep the intention, the compassion, the spaciousness, even in this really simple practice of rolling the ankles. Feel your shins and calves, ankle bones, tops of your feet, arches, space between your toes, breath pouring into it all. And then begin to circle the other way. Things might be getting a little hot now, but that heat is going to warm up the foundational areas of our feet, legs, all that good stuff. Okay, inhale, come back to center, flex your feet, lift your heart, and then walk your fingertips towards you a little so you come into Dandasana, into a staff pose. So the feet are hip width apart. The heels are on the ground this time, but your feet are still flexed and toes are spread with a lot of power. So your feet are still super active. You can press your palms into the earth if your arms are long enough. Mine are not, so I'm going to do my fingertips. You choose. Or if you have some blocks or some props, you could even slide props under your hands to make your arms longer. Wherever you have your hands, press down. Use that to lift your spine. Pull the inner edges of your shoulders backward and lift your heart. Take your belly button, pull it backward to engage your core. I am not telling you that I want you to suck your belly in. I will never tell you that. I never want you to do that. I just want you to engage this supportive space of the abdomen to provide support for your spine. All right, once you've got your core situated, find your thighs, squeeze the thighs and press them more toward the earth. Okay, so from toes to shoulders, nice and active in your staff pose. Just feel yourself active and alive in your body. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Okay, from here, I just want you to hover your hands over the earth, but keep your shoulders over your hips, core toned, thighs active. So all, excuse me, of that good staff pose work is still happening. From here, begin to roll your shoulders up, back, and down, bringing that idea of compassionate space into the shoulders. They get so tight. Keep your legs active, core toned so you can keep your spine long, and then just try to isolate this movement in your shoulder blades, massaging your upper back muscles with these luxurious up, back, and down movements in the shoulders. And you use the breath. You inhale for a full circle, exhale for a full circle. Breath space, body space. I'm sure you look amazing. I can't see you, but I can feel you. Even if I'm recording this not, live, I can still feel you with me. I'm grateful. Take one more roll in this direction and then roll the other way. Again, your legs stay strong, core stays strong, your spine stays long, and you start to roll forward. Inhaling, rolling, exhaling, rolling. This time we broaden the shoulders. We're pressing the shoulders apart, so making a new kind of space in the upper back, the back of the heart. Don't forget to flex your feet. Feet are nice and active. All right, take one more roll in this direction. And then one more time, inhale, roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Place your fingertips on the earth and just lengthen into your staff pose. Notice if you have more space in your heart now. Breathe into that as you inhale. And then as you exhale, bend your right knee. Bring the sole of your right foot close to or touching the inside of your left thigh. And instead of keeping your left leg straight out from your hip, you're going to want to take your left leg and kind of angle it about 45 degrees away from you. So right foot is close to or touching the thigh. Right knee is bent for a little half butterfly pose to make space for the hip, the side body, and the spine. We love all of that. We'll start here. Again, left foot is flexed, toes are spread, so we always want to keep that space in between the toes. You're pressing your right foot into your thigh, thigh into your foot to create activation in both your left and your right hip. Take a deep breath in, reach your arms to the sky. As you exhale, take them wide, pull the shoulders back and down, and take a full breath here again, just to reach for that idea of space, connecting to space. Now inhale, get your spine and your waist as long as you can. As you exhale, tone your belly. From your belly, turn just your torso toward your left leg. Your hips stay pointing forward. Inhale, lengthen from here. As you exhale, with the longest spine you can manage, start to fold your torso toward your left leg. It does not matter how close your torso gets to your leg. What matters is the length in your spine. So as you decide where to put your hands, know that you can place them down on either side of your leg, as close to or far away from you as feels good. You can grab your upper thigh. You can grab your shin, your ankle, your foot. If you have a strap or a scarf or a belt, you could even wrap it around the ball of your left foot to make your arms longer. That's a great way to make space. So you find your space in this pose. Just to clarify, I called this half butterfly. It's called half butterfly in the tradition of yin yoga. So if you've never heard it called that before, I'm drawing a little bit from yin as we do this practice together. Yin is a more of a passive practice, and so it's all a lot about space. So here we go. You keep your right hip really solid on the earth. You engage your belly to help turn your chest and torso towards your left leg. You lean forward a little bit from your pelvic bone as you lengthen every vertebrae of your spine. Lengthen the crown of your head forward, no matter how high or low your chest is. It's just about that spine. It's about the side body, though, too, so you start to feel your right side, maybe giving you some feedback. So see if you can meet that with a spacious breath. Your left hamstring might be giving you some feedback as well. So again, a spacious breath, just it'll talk to you, you talk back by way of the breath. Just sitting with some of these areas in the body that tend to get full of tension. That's not the most poetic way to say it, but the hamstrings, the hips, the side body, the back, they can get a little congested with tension. And so can we sit in a compassionate space with that in this pose and just meet it with breath? So here you are doing it. Just let yourself do that for a few more breaths. Maybe you find that your relationship to the pose changes over time. Maybe you feel more space and can lean into it a little more. Maybe you need to find space by backing out a little more. It's all good. Just keep breathing. Take a deep breath in. Thorough exhale in your pose. Now bring your fingertips down to the ground. Slowly walk your way upright and let yourself adjust to the new reality you've created by engaging with space in this really deep pose you just did. Okay. From here, lean back on your hands for a moment. Bend both your knees and place them down a couple feet in front of your hips and a little wider than your hips, and just windshield wiper your knees from side to side a couple times. Maybe noticing the contrast from one hip to the other. Where there's space, where there's tightness, can we be compassionate toward all of it? Is the question. Okay, come back to center. Sit up tall. Extend your right leg out at about 45 degrees to the right. Remember that foot stays flexed, toes are spread. Finding the space between your toes is a surefire way to connect to space wherever you are. And then that left knee is bent and you bring the sole of your left foot inside your right thigh, touching it or close to touching it. Press your foot into your thigh and thigh into your foot to activate your hips. Take an inhale, reach your arms to the sky. Pause here. We exhale with the arms wide, shoulders back and down, heart lifted, and we just reach for the actuality of space. My teacher, my guru, the primary teacher of my yoga lineage, often talked about actuality, that these practices are not just ideas that we talk about, but that the space is real. It's actually happening. It's an actuality. So reach and connect. On an exhale, tone your belly. Turn your torso toward your right leg from your belly. Inhale, get really long here. And then exhale, keep your spine as long as you can as you start to fold your torso toward that right leg. Remember, doesn't matter how high up or low down you go, I want you to prioritize the space in your spine. So maybe you bring your fingertips down on either side of your leg, wherever they go, far away, closer to you. Maybe you grab your thigh, shin, ankle, or foot, or you wrap a strap, belt, or scarf around the foot to lengthen your arms. All right, here we are, half butterfly, a little yin style action so that we can really give ourselves space. It feels really nice to move and flow through yoga poses, but sometimes I find that doing that can mimic the frantic speed at which I move through my life, and sometimes it feels good to balance that out with intentional stillness. So press your left hip into the ground, tone and turn your belly from tone and turn your belly to the right. I just realized that I'm not mirroring you. I usually do mirror you, but I am not right now. So here we are. Anyway, we're turning to the right from the belly. You might feel some feedback happening in the left side of your body, your right hamstring. Just meet it with breath. And just see if you can sit compassionately in the space that you're in. For me, that's sitting compassionately with the fact that I forgot to mirror you, and I usually do. But hey, here we go. Here we are. Your relationship with the pose might change as we stay here, whether that's space in terms of going a little further in or space in terms of backing out, and it's all good. Your breath and your body will tell you. Just listen. Take an inhale. Exhale into your space here. Place your fingertips on the earth. Walk yourself upright. Lean back on your hands. Bend both knees and plant your feet in front of your hips and just windshield wiper those knees from side to side, just letting the hips move after some deeper stillness. Okay, come back to center. From here, come onto your back. As you come down, bend your knees. Plant your feet on the earth about hip width apart. All right, press your feet into the earth and inhale, reach your arms toward the ceiling. Make fists with your hands, bend your elbows, and press your elbows into the mat just as powerfully as you press your feet. For just a moment, lift your shoulders up, squeeze your shoulder bones a little closer together, and then let them drop to the mat and press those shoulder bones into the earth as well. Press the back of your head into the earth to keep your neck nice and long. Just to balance out that forward folding, now we'll create space in the front of the body, the hip flexors, the spine by doing a little back bending, moving the spine in the opposite direction. All right, for moving bridge, squeeze your feet into the ground. Squeeze your thigh muscles to your bones. Squeeze your butt muscles to the bones. Tone your belly. Inhale, lift your hips. Lift your ribs. Press your heart backward toward the wall behind you. Lift as high or stay as low as your body says yes to. Just engage your legs and elbows, shoulders. Now exhale, slowly roll one vertebrae at a time until your hips are back on the mat. For moving bridge, we inhale, squeeze and engage everything. Lift your hips, lift your ribs, press your heart open and back. Exhale, lower to the ground. Inhale, squeeze and lift. Exhale, lower and release. Keep going. Just stretching your front body open, hip flexors open after some of those deep forward folds. Just getting curious about the space you're in with these movements. Now take a deep breath in, lift your hips, lift your ribs, press your feet down, elbows, shoulder bones, back of the head down. Squeeze your shoulders toward each other. Squeeze your thigh bones toward each other. Lift your heart one more space. Deep breath. Exhale into your pose if you can. And then lower your hips all the way to the earth. Hug your knees in toward your chest. Grab the backs of your legs And from here, we're going to start to rock up and down on the spine. So we'll rock up onto the tailbone, back onto the shoulders. If you know that spinal rocking is not the practice for you, just come to sit upright and imagine your breath in and out through the nose. Just imagine it moving up and down your spine. It's going to do a similar thing as to what we do. It's going to be a similar action to what we're doing in a spinal rock as we start to just move energy up and down the spinal column, which is the central channel of energy in the body, center of the nervous system. So it's one of our greatest tools for accessing space. So tone your belly by pulling your belly button closer to the ground underneath you. On an inhale, rock onto your tailbone. On an exhale, rock onto your shoulders. Use the strength of your core to keep this movement kind of steady in a container so you don't have to flail all over the place. I feel like we're doing a lot of flailing right now in life, which is understandable, but we don't have to flail on the yoga mat. Just moving life and space up and down the channel of your spine. It also moves the lymph fluid around in your body, which is excellent for your immune system. I always get my inhales and exhales mixed up, especially when I try to talk in spinal rock. We're exhaling onto the shoulders, inhaling onto the tailbone. And now eventually, we're going to stand up. You can do that however you need to do that. It might be that you rock upright to a seat and then stand, or maybe you rock all the way onto your feet and stand up. Get there however you get there, and then just take a little dance break. Whenever you do, shake your legs, shake your arms, make faces and noises. It's a little tension release practice. Okay, from here, wherever you are, step your feet close together so that your big toes touch and your heels have about 1/2 inch of space between them. If that's not stable for you, hip width or even wider in your stance is totally okay. All right, press into the feet. Imagine taking the pads of your toes and squeezing them backward, like you could grab the earth with your toes. Just active feet, always. Soften your knees a little bit though, so that we have space there, we don't lock the knees out. Now take an inhale, reach both of your arms to the sky. As you exhale, either grab your left wrist. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I am going to mirror you now. That's my typical practice. I don't know why I didn't do it to start with, but I am mirroring you now. And I will just say, I've said it before, I never edit these videos more than just like cutting out the beginning and the end where I'm turning the camera on and off, because I want you to feel like you're taking a yoga class with me. And in a yoga class, if I forget to mirror, I can't go back and edit it out. So here we are. I am mirroring you. So inhale, reach up. Either take your right hand, grab your left wrist, or take your right fingertips to your right thigh if that feels more spacious in your shoulders. Wherever you are, inhale, get your waist and your spine so long as you press your feet into the ground. Now exhale, lean your torso to the right as you press your hips to the left. Feet keep pressing down. Both shoulders pull backward as both hips press forward. You reach up rather than over with your left fingertips, so it's like you could pull space open between each of your ribs. Side body stretch, look up, forward, or down, however you need to take care of your neck. Breathe. This is Ardha Chandrasana, standing half moon pose. So a literal symbol of embodying space, that moon in outer space in its many phases. And of course, as we stretch the side body, we make space in the torso, which makes room for our spine. So some physical space in the body as well. Just be there for another breath in and an exhale. Now inhale, come back upright. As you exhale, switch your hands. So you're either going to grab your right wrist or you'll take your left fingertips to your thigh if that's more spacious for your shoulders. Inhale, get your waist and spine so long as you press your feet into the earth. And exhale, lean your torso to the left, press your hips to the right. Hips press forward, shoulders pull back. Top fingertips reach up like you could draw space open between each rib. Half moon, just embodying the space of the universe as you draw space open in your torso. Make more room for your spine. It's all connected, that universal space and that inner space. So if you can just breathe into the connection between the two. Inhale, take it straight back up. Exhale, squeeze your shoulders, circle your arms wide and down. And just do that a few times. Sweep the arms up. Exhale, squeeze the shoulders as you circle down, just kneading out any tension. Now go the other way. Inhale, reach your arms back. Exhale, just swim through space as you drop your arms forward and down. Don't forget to unlock your knees. I just noticed that mine were locked. All these little places where we can remember space. All right, as you exhale, just drop your arms beside you. And one more time, inhale, roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Okay, from here, we're going to start to bend the knees. Press some weight into your heels and imagine pressing your feet away from each other to activate all the way up your legs, all the way to your outer hips. Let your butt sit back and down, but tone your belly to keep your spine supported and long. Now bring your hands to touch your thighs. Bend your knees as much as you need to get your spine long, even with your hands on your thighs. Now press your palms into your legs. Press your legs into your palms. So everything from your core to your thighs and beyond is super active. Now we're going to keep the low body just as it is and start to move in the upper body. So take an inhale, extend your heart forward, pull your shoulders back and lift your chin like you're in a cow pose if you're familiar with cat-cow. Now exhale, round your low back, mid back, and upper back. Tuck your chin, press your shoulders away from each other like a cat pose. Now inhale, roll it forward. Exhale, round it back. Keep your hips low, feet pressing in, and start to move with your breath. Even though we're not doing that Bhuvaneshwari breath right here, I want you to remember that breath as you move. Just remember that essence of compassionate space and see if you can circulate it through each movement here. We haven't done anything similar to cat-cow in this practice, so this is going to be our standing cat-cow to strengthen and bring even more space into the spine. I got this practice from Faith Hunter. She's amazing. Take one more round. Inhale, expand. Exhale, round your back. Now inhale, bring your spine to neutral. Exhale, drop your hips one space lower. You can do that as a movement or just by thinking about it. Press into your heels, press your feet apart, drop a little bit lower. Keep dropping your butt back, but then tone your belly to keep your spine supported. Stay here or take an inhale, reach your arms up. Pull your shoulders back and down. This is a heart opener in our Utkatasana chair pose. It's also a hip activator, so you're pressing your feet down, sinking your hips down. Shoulders back, heart up. So hips sink, heart lifts. Hips sink, heart lifts. Keep breathing. Can we hold compassionate space in this pose? And then take an inhale, reach it all the way up. As you exhale, reach around behind you and interlace your fingers at your lower back. Pull the heels of your hands toward each other so you get them as close as you can. The tendency sometimes is to make this little square shape with the hands, but that doesn't make me work my shoulders at all. And it can also compromise the wrists. So hold on. Woo, catching my breath. After all that chair pose, you probably feel the same way. Anyway, from here, we're pulling the heels of the hands together. For now, bend your elbows. Pull your elbows back toward each other. Squeeze your shoulders together like you want to smash a grape in between them. Start to puff out your chest here, but pull your belly button back to keep everything stable and keep pressing into your feet for the same reason. So you can stay right here or take an inhale. Start to extend your knuckles down toward the ground behind you and lift your hands away from your lower back. But only do that if you can keep squeezing your shoulders backward, puffing out your chest. This is Yoga Mudra. Space for the heart, shoulders, collarbone. Take a deep breath here and exhale. Okay, I'm mirroring you now, just FYI. On your next inhale, take both hands and place them on your left hip. So the back of your right hand is touching your left hip. Keep pulling the heels of your hands together. Squeeze your elbows back, shoulders back. Take a deep breath here. As you exhale, I always have to remember which way this goes. Let's see. I think it's as you exhale, drop your left ear towards your left shoulder. Yep, that's it. Sometimes I just have to do it in my body to remember which stretch is the right stretch. So this is me, again, this is the space I'm in. Here we are. Squeeze your elbows back, pull your shoulders back, soften your jaw to make space in your neck. Use your breath to facilitate space on the inside and the outside. And then inhale your chin back to center. Exhale your hands back to center. And then take your hands to your right hip. Pull your elbows and shoulders back. Soften your jaw. And drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Compassionate space for the neck and shoulders, which again can get so congested with tension, just like the hips. Especially all the leaning forward, craning the neck on computer screens and phone screens. Just compassionately releasing some of that or just noticing it as we breathe. And then inhale, come back to center. Exhale, release your hands and just wiggle out your fingers a few times. Wiggle out your whole body again. And then come to face the long side of your yoga mat. So the long edge will become the front, but you might want to face in a way that you can still see the screen or look at it easily if you want to. Bring your hands to your hips. Step your feet out. Wide stance. How wide? You want a leg length of space between your feet. So I have long legs. I'm going to take a long stance. However long your legs are, that's how much room you want between your feet. Turn your heels out ever so slightly and your toes in. So you have a little internal rotation in the thighs. You can start to press the thigh bones backward, right? But still squeeze the thigh bones toward each other at the same time to get active and grounded in the legs. Squeeze your toes backward. Again, we're doing that practice of squeezing the earth with our feet so we have this solid foundation in the feet. And then pull your belly button backward, again, so your core is engaged and you have just the support for your spine. From here, take an inhale. Reach both your arms out in either direction. Your palms face forward. Your shoulders pull back and squeeze toward each other, and there's fire in your fingers. You're reaching actively through your fingertips. Your chin is level with the earth. As you squeeze your thighs in, you use that momentum to lift your heart. You lift the crown of your head, and you feel yourself reaching in all 5 directions through feet, fingertips, and skull in Tadasana, 5-pointed star pose. Breathe. Again, just this embodiment of space. You are kind of playing with this symbol, the shape of the star, which is a representation of the cosmos, this infinite space that we're all held in. But you're also reaching in your physical body, just tapping into your own human experience of space. The breath connects you to your inner experience of space. Just go for it. Just be in it. Take a deep breath in As you exhale once more, you have the option to reach around behind you, interlace your fingers, pull the heels of your hands, your elbows and shoulders in toward each other. Elbows bent for now for Yoga Mudra. Again, stay here or start to reach your knuckles toward the ground behind you, lifting your hands away from your lower back and straightening your arms, only if you can keep squeezing your shoulders backward. Tone your belly so your hips stay in line with your ankles and only from your upper back, so your low body stays where it is, from your upper back. Maybe you start to lean back a little. Shoulders lean back, maybe chin lifts toward the ceiling and the weight of your head drops backward, but only if that feels supportive for your neck. Spaciousness, peeling the heart wide open. The heart is where compassion and space meet. You can stay here, or as you exhale, press those thigh bones backward, pull the feet and thighs toward each other, tone your belly, and hinge at the hips. Maybe you bring your head, forehead, or crown toward the earth or onto a block, or maybe it just hovers. Keep squeezing your shoulders and press your knuckles toward the sky, or keep your knuckles at your low back, or release your hands altogether. Just press your tailbone backward, lengthen your spine as much as you can. Find your embodiment of space here. And then as you exhale, release your hands to the earth. Okay, so your hands can come in line with your shoulders. You can bring blocks under your hands to make your arms longer. Wherever you go, just get your spine as long as it'll go. Squeeze the earth with your feet. Press those thigh bones back, but imagine squeezing them in at the same time. It's a trip, I know, but you can do it. And if it doesn't make any sense to you, just take the cues that make sense to you. That's part of holding compassionate space for yourself in practice. All right, we're going to take a deep breath here. As you exhale, begin to walk your hands over to your right foot. So I am mirroring you again, FYI. Maybe you just bring your hands as close to your right foot as your body says yes to. Wherever you go, your left hip's going to want to travel forward. I want you to press it backward in line with your right. So this is a twist and a side body stretch, kind of like our half butterfly from earlier. You're moving from your belly to get your torso to go to the right. All right. So maybe your hands are on the earth. Maybe you grab your right ankle, keep pressing evenly through both feet, and take a couple breaths. As you exhale, hands come to the earth if they're not there already. Walk through center. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Press those thighs back. Exhale, walk your hands over to the left. Hands can come inside your foot that's close to or far away from your foot as works for your body. Remember, the best way to hold compassionate space during the physical practice is to make it work for your body. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing. And I want it to be about you and what works for your needs, okay? So find your hand positioning and then press that right hip back in line with the left. Maybe the hands are on the earth. Maybe you grab for your left ankle. Just press evenly through both feet. Lengthen your spine and stretch your hamstrings, the side of your body. Breathe. As you exhale, bring your hands back to the earth. Come back to center. Inhale, lengthen your spine. As you exhale, start to heel toe your feet close to each other. Keep going until your feet are as close as you can get them and still feel stable. All right, for a tight squat, we're going to lift the heels up off the earth. We're going to bend the knees, lower the heels toward the hips, and come to this position where we are balancing on the balls of the feet. Okay, for this tight squat variation, I want you to sink your heels as close to the mat as you can get them. They don't have to touch, but make them heavy. I want you to pull or walk your hands in closer towards you and pull your elbows in close towards you. Bend your elbows, and just like your heels, get your elbows as heavy as possible toward the yoga mat. Excuse me. Start to fold your torso forward and drape your spine over your legs. Now, with your elbows touching your thighs, I want you to press your elbows into your thighs. Press your thighs out into your elbows. Just activate the legs again. We just did all that stretching open in the hamstrings. So we want to balance that out by just strengthening and activating the legs. It's like you could press all the muscles back into place. All right, press elbows into thighs, thighs into elbows. Deep breaths. At the same time, just let your upper body drape and feel this really nice stretch at the back of your heart. You did some front of the heart opening. We'll just balance it out with space in the back of the heart. Just continuously returning to that heart space, the place where you can fully embody both compassion and space. Okay, when you're ready, we're just gonna lean back, sit down onto the butt, legs come straight out, and you bounce your knees a few times. If it takes you a few more steps to get there, no worries. You can always add steps or take away steps, right? Okay. Again, just roll your ankles a few times. Notice if this experience is the same or different than the experience of rolling your ankles at the beginning of practice. One is not better or worse, but just observing it gives you that ability to be in that compassionate space with yourself. And roll the other way. Come to a comfortable seat wherever you sit to lengthen your spine. Okay, take a deep breath in, reach your arms to the skies. As you exhale, turn your torso toward your left knee. So I'm mirroring you here. And then take your right hand to your left knee. Inhale, get your spine and your waist as open as you can. As you exhale, complete the rotation. Bring your right fingertips down behind you. Nope, left fingertips. Lord, this whole right and left thing. Some days it's better or worse than others. And I'm holding compassionate space. So your left fingertips are down behind you. Maybe you're looking over your left shoulder if your neck says yes. I want you to draw your low back forward as you pull both shoulders back. There's so much space in this channel of the spine. At the same time, though, tone your belly so it's not so much space that you get overstretched. We find space from a place of strength and support. Just breathing into your spinal twist, breathing out any of the last bits of tension that you're working with in this practice. Just opening up to that sense of compassionate space. And maybe just like you did in your breath practice, you inhale compassionate space. You exhale compassionate space. Take another breath here. And then inhale your spine back to center, reach your arms up, get long, connect to that spaciousness again and again. And then exhale, turn to the right from your torso. Bring your left hand to your right leg. Inhale, reach your right arm up, get so long in your torso. Exhale, complete the twist. This time your right fingertips are coming down behind you. Maybe you look over your right shoulder. Draw that low back way forward as you pull both shoulders way back, just pulling open the space of the spine, but keep your belly toned so it comes from a space of support and integration, not force. Maybe breathing in compassionate space, breathing out compassionate space. Now inhale your spine directly back to neutral. I don't know why I said directly. That sounded so forceful. Just inhale your spine back to neutral however you want to. And then if your legs are crossed again, please switch them. So whatever leg is in back is now in front. And we create the space of balance. Sorry, I just want to make sure my lip ring wasn't about to fall out. This is reality. Again, I don't edit these videos, so you're getting me in all my weirdness, and I'm so happy that you came to join me in my weirdness, sharing this space with me. So on that note of sharing space, we're going to close out this practice the way we started it, the very same way, with our Bhuvaneshwari breath. And just like you did with your ankle circles, I invite you to observe. What is it like to do this at the beginning of your practice? What's it like to do this at the end of your practice? One doesn't have to be better or worse, but you just notice your capacity for feeling and experiencing space now that you've done all this work, right? So you can come back to your Bhuvaneshwari mudra, your little globe mudra, holding it in front of your belly or in your lap or in front of your heart or wherever you need it. And remember, it's our 4-part breath, so we're just going to go right into it. Breathing in through the nose. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle through your parted lips. Inhale through your lips. Exhale through your nose. And continue this breath pattern with me. Just inhaling through the lips, drawing in more space. Exhaling through the lips, breathing out the tension. Maybe breathing in the words compassionate space. Breathing out compassionate space. Breathing in compassionate space. Breathing out compassionate space. And we'll do this for a few more moments. One more round, all 4 parts. As you exhale through your nose, exhale as fully as you can, drawing your low belly in and squeezing all the air out, squeezing out the effects of tension, attachment, stress, pain, whatever it is. And then as you inhale, just press your palms together and bring your thumbs to your sternum. Pranam, prayer pose at the heart. Just taking a few breaths here. Soaking up the effects of practice and who you are when you intentionally give yourself compassionate space and meet yourself in compassionate space. You know, we did that Tara asana, that 5-pointed star, named for the goddess Tara. I was also named for the goddess Tara. My spiritual name given to me by my teacher was Tara Devi, is Tara Devi. And Tara Devi is the Tibetan Buddhist goddess of compassion. I've also heard her referred to as the goddess of the night sky. And I find it so interesting that compassion and the night sky are so connected in that way, that they can be embodied by one goddess, one form of energy. To me, that means compassion and space are connected. Compassion is so spacious. Taking just a few more moments to experience compassionate space for yourself, knowing that now you are fully equipped to carry it out into the world around you. Everyone, excuse me, everyone you encounter, everything that you pour your heart over. When you're ready, you can bow your forehead to your chest, bowing to your compassionate and spacious heart, to your practice, to the space of practice we shared together, and bowing in service of anyone who can't practice. And in the name of a compassionate and spacious heart, I thank you and I bow to you and I close the practice. Thank you all so much for joining me in practice. I know it got a little wild there. I didn't know if I was mirroring or not, and kind of, it's just the space that flows through. But I so appreciate you joining me in it. It's a gift to practice with you. If you have questions, comments, or feedback, feel free to connect with me at Wild Yogi Thing on Instagram, and we can chat about this practice or anything else practice related. And of course, if this practice resonates with you, please feel free to like the video, subscribe, and share. All right. I love you so much, and I'll see you next time.